Hello, everybody. Just a quick little jam at the start there to get everybody warmed up for the stuff that we're going to be talking about. We're going to use that chord progression for a lot of the stuff that we're talking about today. My name is Levi Clay. I have been obviously doing the YouTube thing for like 10 years, but I'm also the owner of guidedpracticeroutines.com. And I am here, of course, to help with your practice needs, to help improve your overall ability, practice, and knowledge of the instrument. We're currently running a special free PDF download. I wrote it's almost 70 pages, I think about 68-page PDF that's really a companion for this masterclass, but also is going to be, it's kind of like a light version of one of the pathways that I'm just now launching on the website this week. And it's about your kind of fretboard knowledge and making sure that you fall firmly into that intermediate category. Because, of course, I think one of the really tricky aspects of practice is really knowing where you fall in your own personal needs. Now, I've experienced this firsthand. I've been playing the piano for 5 years now. And every time I work with a new piano teacher, there's them getting to know where my level is. And they're almost never right, because how much can you get done in an hour? But the same problem happens in my personal study. When I'm studying the piano, my realistic assessment of where my ability is on the instrument is often placed higher than where a teacher would place it, where somebody with experience would place it. So the basic idea behind this PDF is to help make sure that you are on the same level, on that par of what I would call that getting towards your upper intermediate area. But we go through the basics. So link in the description, go and grab yourself a copy of that. Now, the focus of today is about setting goals for your new year. I've made notes here so I can check them, and I'll be reading chat, of course. Getting your feedback and answering your questions. So setting goals, practicing better, not harder, because of course you want to practice hard ideally, but you want your practice time to be very efficient. And this is about moving you towards that. It's about removing confusion, overwhelm, and most importantly, guilt. Guilt, I think, is something that really derails a lot of people's practice and development on the instrument. So that's something I want to address today. And I want to give you a framework for practice that you're going to be able to use in the coming year. So let me check out the comments. Let's see who's online. We have John Buckley. Hope I had a good Christmas, although Scotland's better for the new year, methinks. That's actually true. Yes, I had a good Christmas because my definition of I don't have children. So it's hard to have a bad Christmas. Or let me rephrase that. It's hard to have a stressful Christmas. So Christmas was wonderful. I want to say we relaxed on the couch, but I woke up on Christmas Day. We went downstairs and I said to Mel, sit down. I'm going to make Christmas dinner for us. Normally she would make Christmas dinner, but I decided I felt like doing it. So I cooked a big Christmas dinner. That was nice. And then I sat on the couch in the evening and I played Expedition 33 for, 4 or 5 hours. It was glorious. As for New Year's, obviously it's a big celebration in Scotland, Hogmanay. But being a musician, it means working, right? It's the busiest night of the year. Or let me rephrase that, most well-paid night of the year. So for me, New Year's is just another day of work. Evening, everybody. We see Perry Codes online. I see that was your okay. Some people saying hello. David, who I was in a private lesson with just last night. Good to see you tuning in, man. Yeah, okay, so let me give you a basic structure, an overview of what we're going to be doing. So in this masterclass, we're going to debunk some of the practice myths, give you an FAQ or a quick mindset shift that you can implement now. Then in part 2, we'll talk about setting your goals. Obviously very important. Most people tend to go wrong in the setting of your goals. You need more focused, clear goals of what you're going to be working on. We're going to walk through some sample practice routine taken from that PDF. I'll bring it up on screen so you can see it. And then I'll tell you a little bit about the website and we can do a live Q&A. So this is all about quick mindset shifts, clearer goals, and then having a practical system for your development. All is well, Chris Mullin. Thank you for tuning in, man. So, let's talk briefly. Part 1, the practice myths. So, the goal of this section, right? I think there's lots of clear mental blocks that happen in practice. And I mentioned it in that little intro. I think guilt is one of them. So I want to reduce some of that overwhelm and that guilt. And I think we need to reframe how we're thinking about practice. So the first myth that you hear people often say is that I'll never improve unless I can practice for 4 hours a day. Now, let me be clear. If you practice for 4 hours a day, you will improve faster than somebody that has less time. But It doesn't mean that you can't can't progress with less than 4 hours. I'm a full-time working musician. In a perfect world, that would mean I'd have loads of time to practice. But actually, I'm working all the time. When I'm not gigging, I'm transcribing, or I'm doing lessons, or I'm writing a book, or planning video lessons for my website. The actual time to sit and really practice is very limited for me. So I have to make sure that when I do get that time to practice, it's very efficient. I don't get to practice 4 hours a day. And I've got some amazing students who do manage to get like 4 hours of practice in a day. And I laugh when I say that, because I remember those days when I was a teenager, but I just don't have that time to do that development now. But that doesn't mean that you can't make really meaningful progress if you have a limited amount of time. So it's about how you're using that time and your focus on practice, your intent, rather than just, well, I'm playing for 4 hours. Because consistency will always be intensity. Consistent practice is always, especially when it comes to things like memorization. Memorization, if you do a 10-hour session of triad memorization and then you don't use triads for 6 weeks, that's worthless compared to doing 20 minutes of triad practice a day until you've made those 10 hours of work, right? So intensity, not all that important. Intensity is important. You have to be consistent. I wish I could speak. And then here's a real thing, right? Real life compatibility. So in that intro, I was just jamming over the chord progression to Radiohead's Creep. Now, it doesn't matter what the chord progression is that you use. There needs to be some sort of real life compatibility with the thing that you're practicing, because practicing, a scale for the sake of practicing a scale is not actually making that connection to your real world application of music. So practice quality and intention and removing that all or nothing mindset. Don't worry, we'll get to some guitar playing in a second, I promise. What have we got here? Steve Cassidy, no gigs this Hogmanay for me. For a change, thankfully. Yeah. We were concerned that we weren't going to have gigs because we're booked. But literally last night, Mel got a message from somebody who said, check this TikTok out. And the roof of the venue was on fire. There's a big fire in Glasgow building. But fortunately, where we're going to be, it's like a 4 or 6 story building, and the top was on fire and we're playing in the bottom. So fortunately, old sandstone buildings, the damage wasn't enough to condemn the building or anything. Strong structural. So fortunately that got resolved and we didn't. And that would have been a disaster because, we also have residencies in there. So that would have been a pain. Hello, Levi. I really enjoyed my Christmas blues licks. Just making my way up the choices. Yeah. Hopefully, who was that? Philip. Yeah, hopefully you're an active member on the Discord server. If you are, posting videos of you playing any of those blues licks on Discord is always going to get feedback from me because I'm very active on there. So, yeah, I'll come back to that. Oh, no, good question. Or not, or good point. I see the word consistency. So Good Soup says, consistency has always been my issue. Yeah, well, that and having to think about what I'm practicing instead of just trying to enjoy myself. Well, we're going to come on to that idea of sort of thinking about the things you're doing and just enjoying yourself. Fortunately, I enjoy practice, so practice is never too stressful for me. But some people feel the need to enjoy the thing they're practicing, which often results in them practicing things that aren't actually necessary in their practice. They're having more time jamming over a backing track, for example, versus that's having fun, that's playing. That's like going for a walk in the park and then being like, oh no, I don't need to go to football training this week because I went for a walk in the park. Like it's different. So actually, myth 2 is that practice has to be boring and unmusical. And for me, I think it's the opposite. So exercises should move into music as fast as possible. I'll give you an example, right? So if I go here, so you can see me, that I picked that chord progression because it's C major. Then we've got an E7. Now they're not in the same key. Then we've got an F major. To an F minor. Now, whatever scale choices you make for this, let's take that F minor at the end, right? If you analyse the way I improvise over that, I tend to go from playing this F major pentatonic-y, and then I'm going to go to this F melodic minor. That's me outlining changes a little bit more. But yeah, F melodic minor. Now, for those of you that know your melodic minor scales, it's all well and good to go, okay, here's F melodic minor. You can take a pattern like that, you can play sequences. Or doing things like playing your thirds, whatever it happens to be. While you can look at that and say that's practice, of course that is practice, moving it into this musical context where we have an actual chord progression, F major, going to F minor, then going to C major. If I just take where I'm going, so F minor, where I'm going to play F melodic minor, resolving to C, now suddenly when I'm practicing, I'll play a little loop for you. Need to turn the looper up. So if I just play F minor going to C major, now I've got a context, and it's something that's relevant to my actual goals in music, right? So here's a progression, and it's also a tune. It's a real harmonic context. Technique, of course, is a tool, not the goal. So F melodic minor now. There's my C. 1, 2, 3. So. And I'm resolving to that C. Oh, whoops. Back to my C. F melodic minor. Now, obviously I wouldn't recommend, that's quite like an open-ended version of practice, but I would be really focused on this idea of when I'm practicing my F melodic minor, it needs to be in a musical context, and I'll really focus on one area of the neck. So if I'm here, like the classic melodic minor pattern, even that, when I get there, I can hear like this C, I can hear that C happening. So when I work on F melodic minor here, I always need to be able to see my F melodic minor sound and my C, so I can resolve. So whatever I do, I'll play a C major triad at the end, right? So. Again. Now, the more I do this, the more I develop that idea to resolve. So wherever it happens, I do. Yeah, it's really like these focused resolutions. Let me check comments just to make sure that makes sense. Do I think goal setting is important? Goal setting is incredibly important. Yeah, and obviously we're going to devote a fair amount of time to that here in this session because if you don't have goals in your practice, from my perspective, are you really practicing, or are you just jamming? Are you just like? Let me be honest with you, right? So that jam that I did in the intro there, that wasn't me practicing, right? There might be have been like 2% of that was practice, but for the most part, that was me jamming. That was me having fun. Practice, focused practice, has a goal in mind. There's a thing that you are working towards. There's a thing that you're trying to improve, and without that, what are you achieving? You're having fun, and there's nothing wrong with having fun, but and I've written this in the in my notes, people tend to get good at exercises, but not necessarily good at playing. So that to me is like the game changer in practice. And I was working with a student earlier this week, and like he's one of those guys. He's probably watching, and if he doesn't, he'll tune in afterwards. But he's like lots of guys fall into this category where you learn a lot about the fretboard, and I can say like, play me B flat Lydian dominant, or play me a 2-5-1 in the key of F, whatever it happens to be, right? And no thought goes into it. 2-5-1 in the key of F, sure, got ya. For whatever reason, I played a minor 2-5. Let's make it major. Okay, wherever you happen to play that sort of thing, maybe you go. So the knowledge is there, but when I say here's a C major chord, you know that C major scale that you know. Play me some melodies, like just improvise over a C. Now for me, if all you do on this is this, if you're just playing scalar ideas, that's not mastery of the scale, right? You've got to have that musical thing. That's me improvising with C major and having it at a musical level rather than at this academic level of that's the scale, but then you've got to be able to play the music, right? So yeah, having a focus is very, very important. Let's come back to, let me finish. Goal setting is important, but the tone is good. Oh, thank you very much. Honestly, I'm just playing direct into my Apollo, Universal Apollo, and I've got a Fender Tweed. Is it the Fender Tweed? The Fender amp that they have in there. I've got some spring reverb in front of it with my Wampler faux spring reverb, just to give it some life. And I've got a rev tilt for a little bit of, or if I want more. There if I want it, but for the most part I like to play clean. Quick side, David says, why F melodic minor instead of, say, F Aeolian? Because F Aeolian would clash too much with the notes that you've played. So the chord progression is in the key of C. If we're in the key of C and you play F Aeolian against that, you're going to play F, which makes sense, that's in the key. G, that makes sense, that's in the key. A flat makes sense because it's in the chord that you're playing. B flat makes less sense because it's not in the key. You can do it. It gives it like a bluesy sound. C makes sense because it's in the key, but then D flat isn't in the key of C, and the chord isn't telling me to play it, so I don't need to play that note. It makes more sense for me to play a D natural because that's in the key that I was playing in. That's in the key of C. As you continue on in F Aeolian, you can have an E flat. Again, that's not in the key of C, so it really clashes as a note. It makes more sense to... Sometimes I'll play it. I might play Dorian, but if I make that 7 a natural 7, we've got E, and again, E is in that key of C. So when I play my F melodic minor, it ties more closely to the key of C. It sounds much more melodic than playing... Definitely not the one. So, I'm trying to read. Why are you doing that to me? there's a lot of comments. What is going on here? Why is my scroll bar not working? That's better. Yeah. Chord tones, yeah. Well, I'll get to that in a second, Russell. So, myth number 3 is that improvement comes from slow, easy practice. Slow practice is a tool, not a solution. Growth comes from managing your level of challenge. It really does. For me, I don't teach technique. And the reason I don't teach technique is twofold, right? One, my technique is not as good as it used to be. But I have the album. If you want to go and listen to... I'll bring my face up for this. If you want to go and listen to the Hellcat Molly record, well, it's actually just under Levi Clay now, Out of the Ashes, my chops are on display there, right? I had the chops. I know what it takes to develop chops. But I kind of said it before, right? People get good at playing the exercise and not playing the music. And I don't like I don't want to be that player where when I solo, it sounds like I'm playing the exercises. It sounds like I'm playing the pre-composed shred licks, What I focus on in my practice and in my teaching is improving my mind. So whatever the chord progression happens to be, I have that mental ability to hear changes. I have that mental ability to know the best thing to play in a context, rather than going, which of my pre-packaged shred technique licks can I use here? And that comes from really challenging the mind and pushing the stress level of the brain when you're practicing. So you don't want to push too far. Like I could say to any one of you right now, right, let's do a practice session on giant steps. But in reality, giant steps is chord, 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 chord. There's too many chords, right? Your brain would just have an aneurysm in that moment. You could not keep up with that. Whereas if I say A minor classic, right? A minor, C minor, and if I say I want in my practice, I'm just going to work on that in this 4-fret span, then when I lay those chords down, let's make it a bit fusiony. Yeah, and when I introduce more chord changes into there, you do so at a tempo that allows the brain to keep up with what you do. I'm playing a lot of stuff there, but if if the stuff I'm playing there is too much, then you just go arpeggio, right? You limit yourself to what your brain is capable of doing, so you learn to make the thing that you're practicing just above where your brain is comfortable, just above what your brain can keep up with. And you're going to see that with some of the exercises I'm going to present today, right? It's just about seeking that level of challenge in what you're doing that makes it a little bit tricky for you. And the more you do that, the more you put your brain in that slight stress area, the more progress you're going to make, the more progress your brain is going to make. It's the reason I can play now and talk to you while I'm doing it. It's the reason I can play over changes and have a conversation while I'm doing it, because my brain is not having to work as hard as 18-year-old Levi's brain was having to work when I was trying to work on this stuff. Back then, I had to stare at the fretboard and be really focused, whereas now I've done it so much, I don't have to think about it as much. Let me answer that question. So we go. Russell says, what do I think about the Carl Verheyen concept on practice? Play until you play something unique, then writing it down in a book. So that's a jamming approach. I will say this, Carl is one of my big influences. I had some one-on-one time with Carl. I was very lucky to have some one-on-one time with Carl. It was very, very influential. I think people focus on the headline when it comes to a person. They focus on that thing, the lick-based approach to playing. I do think that his lick-based approach to playing and writing out the things that are interesting is interesting, but that's what comes at the end of a practice session. The thing, I've seen Carl do some amazing things. I actually saw him while I was in LA a few weeks ago, playing with John Jorgensen. Really, really great gig at the Baked Potato. Carl's amazing. Though his licks are great, but the example I always give in streams and lessons with students is seeing Carl in a masterclass setting talking about warming up, and he just took like a C major scale and played it from the bottom of the neck to the top of the neck. And then he went around the circle of fifths, moved to F major, came down the neck. At the bottom of the neck, moved to B flat, went up the neck. E flat, down the neck. A flat, up the neck. And there was just no hesitation when he was doing it. Now, you don't get to that level without all of the practice. But it's not sexy to sit and teach that practice stuff. It's sexier for him to sit and talk about, the intervallic. Maybe he goes... whatever interesting thing he comes up with that day. That's sexy. The not so sexy stuff people aren't that interested in. So I do it though. But like I say, it comes at the end of practice. And the thing with Carl's approach is depending on who you are, it can make you a unique sounding player. Obviously, Carl is a very unique sounding player when he plays like him, but he can go into the mode of imitating other people. And that comes from imitating players, right? Not just always looking for something new. Chops are overrated. Music isn't a sport. It's fun, sure, but ain't nobody got time for that. I mean, when you're young, you have a lot of time for that. Anyway, so let's move on to part two. So the goal setting. So I want to talk about why practice fails before you start doing it. And we want to learn to think backwards. So the question you have to answer are, what are the biggest mistakes that you're making with your goal setting? And to me, I think it's that your goals are often very vague. For example, you might just think, I need to learn modes. Or what have I written here? I need to get better at theory, And they are it's such a broad idea. I need to learn modes. Or I need to get better. What about theory do you need to get better at, What mode do you need to learn? And then more importantly, why do you need to learn that mode? Like, show me in the music why you need to learn that mode. The amount of musicians over the years that come to me and they want to learn modes because the internet told them about modes. And then I say, okay, cool, no problem. What's your favorite sounding mode? Like, what music do you listen to that's modal? And they're like, oh, I don't know. Like, I really listen to a lot of Peter Green. I listen to a lot of Eric Clapton. And I'm like, fuck are you talking about modes for then? It's not relevant. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't learn it, but it means that you have to progress your music to the point where the concept is really important. And then when you do have that thing in mind, it has to be a very focused thing. So saying to yourself, like, how does Carlos Santana specifically use the Dorian mode? Let's look at some Carlos Santana vocabulary and focus on how he uses the major six in his playing. Because Dorian as a mode is... Oh, sorry, you should want to be able to see me, don't you? Dorian as a mode is... Those are the notes. I just shifted into a two-finger approach to playing there. I don't know why. Those are the notes. But the Dorian note is this. There's my Dorian note. I can always land on that Dorian note, right? That's six, that major six sound. So having a focus in your practice, having a goal of I know my pattern, but do I know where my 6 is? Skies are blue. It's my ear training. Can I always access that? Yeah. So my focus is a specific thing rather than this very broad. I think people just confuse like tools with outcomes, technique with outcomes. It's just not as important as like the skill. I think we have this habit of wanting to chase shiny objects, and I get it. I'll give you a really good example. So literally yesterday, I guess very late at night, the night before, I uploaded that Scott Michoud video. And Scott's amazing. Like, Scott's absolutely amazing. His approach to things is just so fascinating, how he's gone about doing it. And one of the things I noticed in that transcription, that tapping thing, is he does something that I don't think I've ever seen anyone really do, right? So a player like Greg Howe would take, when he's doing the tapping thing and he's descending a scale, he would go, I'll hold the pick, it's better. I'll do it in E. He would go, so it's a 3-note per string idea, right? Scott doesn't do that. Scott would go, so he's playing 1 note on the E string, 1 note on the B string, 1 note on the G string, 1 note on the B string, 1 note on the G string, 1 note on the D string, and you'd keep going. Now, that's a shiny object. It's incredibly cool. And seeing Scott do it is like, wow, what an interesting approach to doing that. But does it serve my musical applications? Not at all. Because when I go out and gig, I'm playing. My skills are about need to be getting around that, not asking myself how can I go. It's not important to me, right? Even though I'm fascinated by it, even though it's very interesting to me, it's so above the musical application that I have or need that I'm good enough to go, I don't need that. I can appreciate it. I can go, that's amazing, but there's the things that I have to focus on. And for me, why do that when I could focus on doing like the Steve Lukather bend? We have a lesson on the Steve Lukather bend on my website, and essentially what that is if you're in a given key, it's doing the bend. So that's like a very, very cool thing to work on. That's much more useful to me in my actual day-to-day playing, because now when I'm playing that's something I can actually use. Something, instantly usable in my playing, versus the Scott Michoud thing, which is, again, super cool, but yeah, not actually that useful. So we want to make sure that things are really focused. So start with your musical outcome. So decide what your style is, know what your style is, know what your situations are that you're playing. What I've written in my thing here is real world contexts. So things that are actually applicable to us in the real world. It could be, I like jamming on things like this. And the thing with that is, I should play a thing like that. If that's in your musical wheelhouse, the blues, I should be able to play a thing like that, and you should know how to play that as quickly as you know how to play, which is like classic blues 101. Or when you're hearing things like that and you can immediately play them, that's good. This should be in that wheelhouse. In the same way that I'm sure if I went, I don't think you stress about that. I think you'd know how to do that. This should be the same. So it's a musical setting that's actually really useful to me, because picking up the guitar and being able to play with people very quickly, play things that are very musical, is very important to me. Whereas picking up the guitar and going, what am I doing? Like all these things that used to be, these shreddy things that would impress people. Who do they impress? Teenage boys. They impress teenage boys. But being able to go, and then is, for whatever reason, I went to a D there. That's much more useful to me. So you have to, So you have to work out what skills you're missing. So what's missing from what it is that you currently have. And for me, the reason I did the Advent calendar licks on Mixolydian is because the blues is like the most commonly played thing on the guitar. And when you're not playing the blues is usually a running theme for it. So if you're a rock musician, the blues runs through that. If you're a country musician, the blues runs through that. If you're a jazz musician, the blues runs through that. So being able to take like a blues in B, like knowing the blues in B, knowing the chords, and then asking yourself, what can I do and what can I not do? If I was sat in a room with Levi now or another musician and they said, let's play a blues in B, and you just have someone going, what are you going to play on this? I assume you can play the blues scale. But then asking yourself, like, do I know the Mixolydian mode? So if the answer is no, I don't know the Mixolydian mode, perfect. You've got something that you're missing. So then your practice has to become about, okay, I have to learn this one thing, the Mixolydian mode. Now, I'm not saying you have to learn the Mixolydian mode. I'm saying that if that's the thing that's missing, why does anything else in the world matter? If something that's so integral to being able to play the music that you love, you can't do it. Like, that's no good to us, is it? We want to be able to fix that. We want that sound under our belt. So then, well, I'm obviously going to say you go to guidetopracticeroutines.com, you look at our Mixolydian course, and you spend like really focused practice time on being able to play scale positions or pentatonic substitutions or arpeggios. Being able to play your arpeggio and scale. You know, being able to really combine all of those things together. And then we have to go, you know, licks, vocabulary, phrasing, the way people actually use the mode. You have to learn. Now, I'm just improvising things there, but the more you do that, the more you develop that skill of being able to do that. I was looking at, I was with a student last night, and we were working on some Tommy Emmanuel stuff, and Tommy did a lick that I've not played in a long time, but it's like a Jerry Reed style thing where we go. And that's a great lick, because you're putting that flat 5 in there. And it just being reminded of that made me want to practice that and get that into my playing again. Let me check in with comments, because we're getting a lot of stuff coming in here, which is always nice. How do I balance between the theory remaining... Oh, that's a really great question. Really, really great question. Really easy answer as well. How do you balance between the theory remaining musical rather than technical and avoiding just learning songs? When you say learning songs, you mean literally like sitting down with a tab. Really great question. The answer to that is very, very simple. Don't learn theory that you don't have a reason to learn. Don't learn theory for the sake of learning theory. When you're learning music theory, it's not so you can discover more music. You learn theory to understand the things that you love, right? So it has to, like, you've got no, if you listen to the blues, or let's say right now, I'll bring my face up. There you go. Right now, I can't stop listening to Randy Newman. I love Randy Newman's music. I love his songwriting. I love his piano playing. I love his satirical approach to lyrics. I just can't stop listening to Randy Newman. And that's a good thing. Having a passion is excellent. But the things you learn have to tie to that passion, okay? So if you, like me, are listening to Randy Newman for 2 hours a day every day, and then you sit down at your instrument to do practice, why are you worried about the Super Locrian mode? It's not relevant. It's not relevant. It's not the sound that is important to musicians like Randy Newman. Something that would be important to Randy Newman, if you're studying Randy Newman, is you need to learn why this works. So if I'm playing in the key of G, Why does A7, C over D, G work when A7 isn't in the key of G? But Randy uses this all the time. So that would be, secondary dominance, playing the 2 chord as a dominant chord, the correct scale for it, which is mixed Lydian. Like, Super Locrian doesn't come into it. So focusing on theory that is applicable to the music that you're actually playing. Now, I picked Randy Newman, but it really doesn't matter. I did a video on YouTube breaking down Joe Satriani's Summer Song. Another good example of Mixolydian, actually. But whatever it happens to be, it has to be applicable to the music that you're playing. You're not learning music theory for the sake of academia. You're learning music theory to have a deeper understanding of things that you're passionate about, deeper understanding of the things that you're playing. Ethan King asks, how do you go about getting chordal ideas into your playing with more emphasis on practicing the mechanical side of it? I'm finding it difficult to get ingrained in my hands. This is a great question, and I will answer it. It's the same principle is what we're talking about here, right? So you've assessed the thing that's missing. You know the thing that's missing in your playing. It's your ability to play chordal ideas. Okay, cool. Let's dial it back and go to a C major, right? I think the reason people struggle to play chordal ideas in their playing is they don't know chords. They only know scale patterns. And, come from a shred background, 3-note per string shit, and it's just not chordal, is it? Right? So taking a C major chord and being able to break that up into 1-5 and then 3-1. Breaking that down like that, or as 2-note groupings. If you can't do this on a mechanical level, or on a very basic theoretical application of the subject, then what's the likelihood of being able to go? So I'm playing more chordal stuff there, right? And that's because I'm so comfortable with my triads. And then because of that, when I'm thinking melodically, when I'm thinking of a scale, I can see the actual notes of my triad as double stops. Let's go there. And it becomes easier to play little chordal things in around what I'm doing, right? So you have to switch that mentality into focusing on the chordal thing, right? Focusing on where, and then, we talk about musical context. If I put it in a musical context, C major, A minor, F. You have to always be able to play your chord. So, like, yeah, I've got like a deep focus on chords. I'm playing over a lot of chords there, and it comes back to that idea of like brain, right? I'm pushing my ability to push my brain on something like that is probably going to be higher than yours. I think because I've been doing it a long time. So you have to slow it down to where you're comfortable, and if that is literally just I'm just taking C major here, and then I played A minor here, played F major here, C shape, then I went down. And the PDF that is downloadable with this lays out all of those chord positions, but that's the thing. Notice how I'm playing a rhythm as well, right? Add chromaticism. I have fun with it. I love that sort of approach to playing. Sorry. What do you think of the modern rationale that if you play fast, you must think fast? I.e., play at speed sloppily. No, I don't. It's a massive detour, so I'm not going to go too far down the rabbit hole, right? But you can't learn to run in slow motion, so you do have to be able to move fast in order to play fast. You can't learn slow and practice a thing for 100 years playing it very slowly and then just be able to play it fast. But you do need to get a feel for that. But at the same time, the mechanics, you have to understand the mechanics and play slower than you need to and then push those tempos. But I'm not a teacher that's going to sit and talk to you about playing fast because for me and the gigs that I do, it doesn't bring any musical value. So it's not something I do. Anyway, let's keep going. Mouse. So here's a kind of I've kind of missed there. Yeah, so it's important that you can self-assess what's missing from your playing and record yourself. But then if we fall into like helping with diagnosis, right? So how do you diagnose what you need? Well, I do have a Discord server, obviously free to access. If you check out like the Advent Licks page or send us a message, like there is a Discord server. And when you post on clips on Discord or whatever, you ask the question, what should I work on? I'm always here. I pride myself on being a very active teacher. Like, I'm here to help my students all the time. So if you need help with something, if you need help assessing where your weaknesses are, then I can do that. But it could be anybody. Just the basic idea is external ears are better. Using an external source, someone's external input, is better than just going alone. So self-criticism and assessment is a skill, but getting feedback can help shorten that learning curve. And ultimately, obviously, one of the benefits of having a teacher is that you have that, right? The immediate feedback shortens the learning curve. When you're going on your own, sometimes you can go down these long detours where you're not actually making a lot of progress because you get caught up in technique. For me, I got caught up in technique for 10 years of my life. Never practicing anything musical. It was all just technique based. And now I think I'm a much more musical player, but I had to get that feedback through my own personal experience. It took, my cost there was time. And your cost doesn't have to be time. Your cost can be humility or throwing away the humility and just asking somebody, and listening to the things that people say. When somebody says to you, like, your vibrato isn't very good, or when somebody says to you, your bends, if you're playing like an E minor, I take pride in the fact that my bends are good. My bends are accurate. And when you say to a student your bends are off, that you want them to hear that you've said that, and you want them to take that in and go, okay, much like everything we've been talking about, I've assessed the area that's lacking in my playing. So my bending needs to be better. So you work on that, Okay, let's walk through an actual practice session. So I'm going to bring up the actual PDF that I've written. I should be able to do that like this, I think. Yes. Has that worked? Yeah, it is there. Let me just adjust so you can see a little bit better. We'll move it over here. So this is the free PDF that you can get. Okay, so the Ultimate Fretboard Checklist and Workbook. I wrote an introduction, and we talk about, levels of knowledge. Okay, so everything that we cover in this PDF is on this page, right? We have major bar forms, closed voice triads, major pentatonic, major scale, closed voice triads for minor, minor pentatonic, and minor scale. And there's 3 levels of knowledge that you want to tick off. Level 1 knowledge to me is when you can, sitting with a tab or a book or whatever, you can read the thing and it's like you understand it, but you need to read the examples to really do it. You kind of know the thing, but it's not useful to you yet. Level 2 is where you know the thing enough. So, for example, like these closed voice triads that we're going to look at, you know it enough to be able to play the exercises. Volume helps. So I can play the exercises without the tab there, okay? But I'm not free with it yet. I'm just parroting back the things that have been taught to me. Level 3 is what we're looking for with this stuff, which is the ability to think for yourself. Level 3 is the ability to adapt the thing that was on the page for your musical context, right? So I'll show you what I mean. So in, what do we have? We've got these practice sheets for you to work on and show you how to practice, and here's your things to practice, and there's diagrams for you to fill in and stuff. But if we look at these closed voice triad, right? So what I've done here on the fretboard is I've laid out 2 of our positions. So we've got our G major bar chord in E shape, then we play our closed voice triads. Okay, same again. Now ascending. Then we want you to draw that on the fretboard in a way that makes sense to you. Then we can do the same thing in our C shape. We go, play our chord again from the bottom. Then we do our A shape. A shape. Okay, once I have those under my fingers, do it like this. Once I have those under my fingers, a practice session is going to be playing those exercises. So, and timers are very important for this. I can't use my timer right now because I'm using it to control my scene changes, right? I guess I could. Let's do this. So I would set up a stopwatch, okay? And I won't do it for the full time, right? But if I say to myself, I'm going to practice a position for 5 minutes, I'm going to hit start on this. It's going to be there. And then for 5 minutes, I'll play my chord. And I think the thing that people often forget about practice is that it takes time. And unfortunately, I've learned this, I know this. After I've played it for 33 seconds, it's already boring, okay? So I want to move on. Don't do that. Because it's the repetition of something that you've learned that takes it into long-term knowledge, right? So if I stopped at 30 seconds, that's just level 1 practice. I'm just playing the thing on the sheet. Level 2 is me not needing to look and just knowing how that thing happens. Now my timer is at 1 minute and 20 seconds, but I would want to do that for 5 minutes, okay? Now your personal, and you'll see this in the sheet, I can go back. If I do this, so if I go back to those practice sheets right here, where we write in what our goals are, these are our practice goals. Under what I practiced, we set what it is that we're actually going to do. So it might be 5 minutes. You work out how much time you actually have to practice. So if you only have 15 minutes to practice and you've got there's 4 things to work on here, then maybe working on those for 4 minutes or 3 minutes is going to be the best way to do things. Or if you've got an hour to practice, you can devote a little bit more time. If you've got more time to practice, then you're able to move yourself into more of that level 3 practice, which would be this. So here, which would be, okay, I can do this in G. Can I do this in C? Can I do it in F? B flat. E flat. A flat. Okay. Now I think I'm in a position with that where I can do that on just about anything, right? If I then go back and what I've written in the book as a practice chord progression is one that I call the gospel progression. But let's do the creep chord progression that we were doing, which is C major. Then we'll do E major. Then we'll do F major. And for the F minor, I'll play E flat major chords. I play A flat major chords. Yeah? Will work if I play over an F. Yeah. So if I lay down that chord progression, and this would be practice again, chord progression, context, right? So I do this for 10 minutes. A flat doesn't work so well on a minor 6 chord. B flat will work well here. So C major. F major. B flat major. Okay, now I'm getting into improvisation territory, right? But what I did there was, as an exercise, was very limited because I only played one shape. But the whole point of this practice guide is that we're going to introduce a few shapes. So the important ones is going to be we did it, I played here. So I practice my E shape until I've got it rock solid. Then I can do my G shape, C shape. Called it G shape because I'm playing a G major chord. I can do my A shape. And then I say to myself, okay, cool. Can I do this in one place? So C major. E major, C shape. F. B flat. Now, for me, it's going to be about like setting up a timer and using a loop and really focusing in. Okay. So Emil, I'll have to check with my web guy. No, it's not a New Year thing. It should be emailed out to you probably as soon as this live stream ends, to be honest. The timer was for when the live stream started, not for when you'd get the thing. Don't worry, you won't have to wait till New Year. I'll make sure they go out tonight to you. It may already have been sent. Yeah. Let me see if there's see what I've missed. So, perfect for your needs. Good. Yeah, you should get it soon. So, this is where crafting your own practice is important, right? Being able to work out what your areas are that you're missing, okay? So you can, working out where your brain level is. So when I play this chord progression, I could just play quarter notes. Actually, half notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If this is a challenge for you, then doing anything above this in terms of complexity is not going to serve you well, right? So this might be where you need to practice. And that's okay. You can't just do it once. You have to play it over and over until this is something that, like I'm doing now, I can talk to you while I'm doing it, right? This wasn't an exercise I had planned. This is just application of concept that I'm able to talk through because my knowledge of this subject is very good. Apparently playing open E is not. F. Then I mix it up. Maybe I'll do single note stuff. If you can't do this, why are we worried about going more advanced than this? Now, I've been really naughty there, right? Because obviously I got bored with the thing I was doing, so I progressed on and I made it harder than it should be. So I slapped myself on the hand. Also, because that's not musical. What is musical is, okay, now I do my triads, my chords. Sorry, the great thing here, I will talk about this in a second. This isn't on the website currently, but this is level 5 of triads that is coming. So now I try and make that musical. Sat1241 says, how useful do you think spread triads are? So spread triads, open voiced triads, obviously I'm teaching closed voiced triads here, but open voiced triads would be, if I'm doing them in C, I would play then, and you should be able to do those for any chord that you need to play. If I move my, I like them. I think they sound great, right? It's all I need to move the guitar like this to get that E. Unless I do that and do it there, I guess. Yeah, so I have an approach to teaching them. It's the same way that I would teach closed voice triads. If you can do this, we just learn. And you can practice them. Not really, it sounds very Carver Ham when you do that, right? But they're very Eric Johnson. I think they're beautiful. Obviously, I've learned them, I know them. I don't use them nearly as much as other triads because they have a sound, and I play in a soul band, and it's not soul music. It's string arrangement type sounds. I have to play more like a which is more closed voice triad based. But yeah, definitely something that should be learned. Chris, lots of great discussions. All hit thumbs up on this video. I agree, Chris. Happens to me every time. Start back on memorizing notes, intervals for placing on the deck. And yeah, so when Perry here says happens every time, I'll start back memorizing notes or intervals, and it's like you're just trying to build. When you say I'll start back at it, you mean you're revisiting a thing, and what that tells me is when you first worked on the thing, you didn't internalize it. It didn't get to the place that it needs to be. And ultimately with these closed voice triads, it shouldn't matter what the song is, right? So if I take something a little bit more interesting, right, something we did on one of our last streams, if I take this chord progression, let's not vibe it like this. Let's go. So I've got all these chords flying by here. F, C over E, D minor 7, C major. Let's actually, I'll change one of those. Let's go F, C over E, D minor 7, F over C, B flat, F over A, G minor 7, F, C over E, then we go to F, we can stay on F, then we need to go B flat, F, G minor 7, So I'm playing a lot of notes, but at its core, that's a more realistic practice area for me because my brain can go a little bit faster on this stuff, right? So the idea behind these practice sessions is here. You'll continue through. You'll do all of the exercises. Then we have a chord progression, which is what I did there. We can even look at that actual chord progression written out on the fretboard, right? So F, then the C, back to F. I've put something different in here. I've gone I'll come to that question in a second, Drew Peacock. So yeah, I'm sticking the walk down chord progression. There's the exercise. Then we move over to your turn. There is a QR code if you want to scan it and go to the video lessons on the website for all of these things, because Triad Mastery is, I don't know, about 14 hours of video at this point. Couldn't put it all in a PDF. Then you have your actual practice goal. So E shape closed position triads in G, C shape in G, A shape in D, gospel chord progression as written, walk down progression as written. You do your practice, you write out tab, you write out some of your diagrams just to help you along. Then your next session, okay, now we'll do the E shape closed voicings in C. So now we'll do them all in C. Now we'll do the gospel chord progression on the top strings and we start in the A shape. We'll do the walk down progression on the A, D and G strings starting in the A shape. More diagrams for you to write out. Then we'll do them in the E flat. The idea is that we're just trying to help ourselves move from level 1 into level 3, because in a perfect world what you want to be able to do is apply yourself to any chord progression, absolutely any chord progression that you that you come across. You want to be able to tackle, if that makes sense. So yeah, makes sense. Let me check what my document says so I don't miss anything. So yeah, the idea behind this PDF is, like I say, we're trying to be able to do these things in all settings. So I think a lot of you guys will be able to do this maybe for major triads, right? But you'll struggle with minor triads. You might be good at minor pentatonic, but not so great at major pentatonic. And the same principle is going to be true for all of these. Like if I'm on that chord progression, can I play F major 7? Can I play C major pentatonic? Can I play D minor pentatonic? Can I play C minor pentatonic? What do we do? C minor, F7. Can I play B flat major pentatonic? What do we have? B flat, F over A. G minor pentatonic. and then like a C7. I could use those through the progression. We're on B flat even. And then we go. G minor. Whatever it is that I happen to do. So I know that approach to playing over there is like very different than how you're going to normally see people practice, and that's what I'm trying to encourage in your practice. So yeah, you take one idea, and there are often going to be many applications. I took that one chord progression, but you could apply this to any chord progression. It could be a blues. I find same thing, like pentatonic on a blues in B flat. 1, 2, 3, 4. So when I play that, I'm sure you can hear me playing the 12-bar blues, right? Sorry, questions. So Drew Peacock says, "Hey Levi, when you play over C over E chord, what interval do you hear as the G note as the fifth? In relation to the C chord as flat third?" Yeah, no, I'm hearing it as I'm hearing as the fifth. Yeah. Because I totally understand why you're saying that. But when I hear this, and it's the problem actually with ear training, right? When you play this interval, it's a flat six, but it doesn't sound like a flat six to me. It sounds like a major sound because I hear a major chord sound there. It's like when people call this minor 7 sharp 5. Does this sound like a minor chord with a sharp 5 in it? No, it doesn't. It sounds like a major chord in first inversion. So when I hear that, this sounds like the root. So when I'm playing a first inversion chord, this note here, the C, sounds like the root of the chord I'm playing over because that third that you have in the bass doesn't sound like the root. It sounds like the third. Hopefully that makes sense. What have I learned from Jim Campolongo's playing? It wants to be bridge. That's Monkey in a Movie. Learned that from Jim. I love Jim's playing because he's very much like, if he's playing over a blues, Jim will be more like. maybe wouldn't play that many notes, but Jim will get into the slow. He'll go by the bridge and make it twangy, or he'll do like. Love it. But it's kind of like a Jim Campolongo, but also Danny Gatton. Like, I'm channeling those players in there. Okay, so that's all I have for your masterclass in terms of content. So go and get the PDF. Like I say, free download. Just pop your email in. We'll get that sent over to you. It's like 70 pages. It's a big PDF. There's a lot of stuff in here for you to delve into. I'm going to sit here for maybe 10 more minutes. So get your questions in that you might have. And I'll just let you know how this ties into the website. And have I been smart enough to log in? Have I fuck? Should really log into my own website, right? Oh, I am in. Okay, perfect. So, whilst you're getting your questions in, obviously, what we're doing here in this masterclass, this is like focused in on this one little subject. But if you want to delve deeper into this, obviously I would recommend checking out guided practice routines. So let's go here. Yeah. I can probably move myself right over, can't I? There we go. So this is guided practice routines. If you're a member of guided practice routines, you'll log in and you can see all of the latest courses and the latest workout of the days that we've put up as the Blues Guitar Advent Calendar. And what you'll essentially do is you will come over to lessons, and you'll go to courses, and you're going to see access to, you're going to see, all of the courses that I've uploaded. Now, specifically here, we're talking about triad mastery. Oh, and it's probably worth pointing out, if you go under lessons legacy routines, you are going to find 150 different practice routines here. And you can filter by, whatever you want to work on. You want to work on reading, filter. These are all my, reading routines. But you want to come under courses. And here we're talking about triad mastery. So you start your course, and we've been talking about level 2. So if I go level 2, let's do D major lesson routine. We're going to have a full video routine here where I'm going to walk. Okay, welcome back, you gluttons for punishment. Big long video of me teaching the concept, all broken down for you, and then at the bottom we're going to have the actual practice routine, and that practice routine is all synchronized with Sound Slice. So when you press play, we're going to practice that and do all of the repetitions with each other. And if you want to work on just one of them, you can click and highlight just that section, and it will just repeat that. And if you need to slow it down, you can do all of that. So it's really nice. And we have everything on here if you want to do. At the moment, I've been working on Mixolydian stuff for everybody. So here's Mixolydian, and if we do this routine, here's the full lesson, and then there's a write up, and then there's the play along, and all the exercises, and we practice together. And that's the whole point behind guided practice routines is practice together, and we'll progress faster. I've also uploaded my entire YouTube transcription archive here, so you can click on transcriptions if it wants to load. There we go. Why is my internet slow today? It's been noticeably slow today. And you can, you want to look at Michael Romeo stuff. You filter by Michael Romeo, and you'll see all the Michael Romeo I've done. And then you can click on watch, and it will have the YouTube video there for you to watch. And if you want to download the PDF or Guitar Pro, they'll be there for you. But yeah, a lot of time has gone into this. We've got literally hundreds, and I do mean this, hundreds of hours of content on the website, so worth checking out. Let's go back and answer these questions, and then I'm going to go and get some dinner. So there's a great question. So many great questions. So Chris says, is there a set of basic fundamentals that you would suggest for classic rock blues guys to learn? You have to be able to do your pentatonics. So that's major pentatonic and minor pentatonic. And I do mean playing major pentatonic, not just going, here's minor, neck pick up it. And then just moving the shape down doesn't get you there, right? You have to be able to play. Delete that loop. So there's my riff. You have to be able to play. Minor pentatonic. But you also have to be able to get that major. And you have to be able to blend them, so. So that's being able to play major and minor pentatonics. My way of teaching that is doing triads first. So being able to play your major and minor triads is going to be more useful to you, I think, because then you're in that position where you can see. So then when you learn a melody, it ties to the triad more. It becomes easier to play. Sounds like we're winding down. We are out. Thank you very much for tuning in, Perry Codes. I appreciate it. What pickups are in that guitar? This is just my Mexican Telecaster. It's road worn. It's it didn't used to be quite this road worn with this like battle scars here and like all the paint's gone here now. I've had this for a long, long time. I tend to also just pick up and bite it. You can't see that me doing that, but yeah, I'll put little teeth marks in it. Because it's a beater, right? That's what a Telecaster is. But the pickups are Joe Barden, Danny Gatton pickups, because I'm a big Danny Gatton fan. So very cool. Simple pickups, simple guitar. One more question. What's your approach to playing over 1-6-2-5, but 2 chords per bar? That's a really interesting question. Really interesting question. So it's not a quick question, unfortunately, so I'm not going to go too in-depth on this. What you're doing when you play 1-6-2-5, 6 is actually just the 1 chord again. If you listen to, you're just changing the bass note, right? So for the 1 and the 6, they're functionally the same thing. So and note-wise, they're the same thing. Over C major, I would play. And over A minor, I play the same notes over those because they are functionally the same thing. Same principle when you go 2-5. Really, 2-5, D minor to G, is really just like G7 sus going to G7. So I would personally just ignore the 2 and play the 5. Functionally, the chord progression started as but we put the minor there. So really it's a C and then another approach is to see the 5 as just being tension, and therefore I'll play the blues on that. Oh, what am I doing? I'll do that as well. And When it's a dominant 6 chord, things become a lot harder, because there you do want to play the sound of the chord. Having said that, really, this comes at the end of a 12-bar blues, right? So at the end of if you're playing a blues in C, you might go like that, right? So if I just play that part, 1, 2, 3. So you might play it all as blues. But if you try and play that A, what I've learned in my playing is that I spent a lot of time with that sort of chord progression, forcing myself to go C, trying to play lines that really outline the chord changes. And then I realised that it doesn't work for me, and actual jazz musicians don't really do that either. You have phrases that work. You have things that you do. You have connection points. So there's a line, right? There's a line. I'm using this to connect to this flat 9 of A. And major 7, it's not right, but to my D minor. So I think really when you're talking about 2 chords per bar, you've got 2 approaches. One is to just phrase through it, and that's really important. And then the second is how well can you play 1 chord per bar? Really truly play lines like that. If you can't play lines like that, then the chance of being able to play is going to be low. So falling back on bit of minor to major is always a good way. Something like that. That makes sense. Hopefully, yeah. Great session. Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you've tuned into this, I hope you've gone and got that PDF. I don't know about a fucking legend, but I do my best to try and help where possible, as much as possible. And of course, I mentioned it, the Discord server. Come and join us on Discord, because you have questions. I'm going to be there. I'm going to answer the questions. I'm going to give you videos. Oh, I forgot that. I brought out a lovely glass of water. Stay hydrated, kids. And I didn't drink any of it. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can always reach me via email, either at the Guided Practice Routines website, or Levi, LeviClay88@gmail.com, or even Levi@LeviClay.com. They'll all get to me. So any questions, please do let me know. I've been Levi Clay. You've been awesome. And I will see you for another stream soon. Much love. Bye.